Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the Amberglass podcast. It's a dreary day in Scotland today, but we're hopefully going to bring you a fairly successful podcast. We're in a transition period in the podcast right now. We're going to try out some new things. First of all, we're going to take ourselves a bit more seriously. We've got a swear jar. It's already got like, what, £9 in it or something?
Yeah, more than 50.
It's a fairly successful
Yeah,
swear
most
jar.
of it was you though.
So we're like, you know, we're going to try and keep the podcast a bit more professional. We've also got a website up now. We're moving the new releases to the website, so if you want to check those out, we're going to give Dave's going to give his opinions on it. If there's anything like, you know, either of us are particularly interested in, we're going to give our opinions on the new releases, but it will just kind of be notifications. Also, other notifications will go on the website. You guys should check it out. Link will be in the description. So we're going to move on to the Scottish community with Neil.
Yep. So Swallowtail, I've had quite a bit of success with TikTok toys.
Just a tad.
Yeah, a little bit
of success.
What are they? Like #1 in the App Store on like
Yeah.
1 million countries? Is that many?
Yeah. Countries that don't have phones worship these.
So
They're now gods.
who's played TikTok toys here? Is it just me?
Yeah,
It's
I
such a
don't.
popular game,
yeah.
none of us should have played it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, none of us have. Do any of us have iPhones or
No.
Apple devices?
I don't have.
I don't.
Android, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I mean, I played it at the. There was a thing on DCA. What was it? Game design. I don't know. It was something that was on at the DCA. It's happened a couple of times now, where there's just a lot of indie games to play that people from Dundee make, and Swallowtail were there along with some of the people like Quartic Llama and the people who were at the Game Jam. We played a couple of games,
Yeah.
but TikTok Toys was definitely one of them that stood out for me. Played it on the iPad and it was amazing. Like I played 40 levels or something, just continuously. Like I was standing there was like 3 iPads and people were coming and going and I was like, oh my god, it's amazing, you get to play the toy box and stuff.
Yeah.
And like seriously amazing game. They also, like, you know, they built it using the prototype fund in Abertay. They got the money, and it was in Abertay. They built it, so it's amazing. They used the money well, and now they've actually moved out of the university. They have their own office now.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure where, but
Somewhere.
You say that like
Well,
you're gonna go down there and just.
yeah, man. Yeah, I'll just go down and ask for a job.
I think it's kind of good because it's a bit of like inspiration for like hoping to be designers and programmers and artists and stuff like that from Abertay. It shows you just how far you can go.
Yeah, it shows that the prototype fund works.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like there's, like the prototype fund is amazing. Like, well, just anywhere in Britain.
Yeah.
But Abertay especially, because you get given the office as well. Whereas elsewhere in Britain, you get given the prototype fund and you could work at home or you could hire your own office or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, also just a reminder for Gaming Scotland this weekend. We've talked about it a couple of times. But yeah, it's this Saturday, and I've got a big list of everyone who's going to be there. So
We're going to be
rattle it off.
Yeah, just come down and see us, meet us.
Dave's going to be there.
Yeah, Dave's gonna be there.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just going
With no
to read off
shoes.
this list. Ninja Kiwi, Gorilla T, Tag Games, Affilio, Nouveau Gadgets, One Thumb Mobile, Reloaded Productions, Blazing Griffin, Tigerface Games, and Codeplay. I'm surprised I didn't actually mess up any of those names.
So is that are those people who are going to be there like in showing off stuff, or is that people who are going to be speaking?
they're all going to give off like who we are. That's our presentations. I think they're all half an hour each, and just one after each other. So if you just go to each one, I think they explain who they are and what sort of games they make. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that starts tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow
Yeah.
it's 12 o'clock start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait, no.
First come, first serve, guys.
This
so.
is happening in the
this
past.
will
This happened
go up.
already today.
Oh,
This will go
oh,
up
yeah. Oh,
on
no.
Saturday, so
Yeah,
it's
no.
already
Fantastic.
happened.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
excellent.
We met all of you. All of
I was nice meeting you all.
Our fans.
Yeah, man. We remember all of you. No, but like, well, I don't even know why this reminder's happening there. That's a good point.
Because it's the future. It's the future.
Okay.
No. So we are recording this on Friday. So.
Oh no, stop ruining the illusion.
Yeah,
That was a really good event. It was brilliant.
we should probably move on because
Yeah.
this is the slow realization that this isn't necessary. Okay.
Yep.
So next up.
Yep, the BAFTAs were this week as well, and Starcrossed by Kind of a Deal won Who to Watch, I think it's called.
One to Watch.
Yeah. For StarCross. They haven't actually seen StarCross. Did anyone watch the BAFTAs?
I played StarCrossed at Dare.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant game. I loved it. Sat there for ages playing it on the phone. It's essentially what it is. You play as a spaceman with a rocket launcher.
I'm sold.
And you essentially do rocket jumps off the atmosphere. It's the layout of the planets reminds me of Angry Birds in space. Yeah. It's got like the little gravity bubble around each planet, so you know how strong gravity is and that. And essentially what you do is you pull down on towards the planet and he shoots off, and he's affected by the planet's atmosphere curves, and he collects up stars, and you've got to get to the end planet. And as you get further down, there's black holes and everything that affects it. But it's a really, really addicting game. You just play it over and over again, trying to build your score. Is
it like
really
manually
good.
Generated levels, or is it like
it's
hundreds and hundreds of set levels?
It's
like
set
Angry
levels,
Birds?
yeah. It's like Angry Birds, where you go through the levels and they gradually get harder and harder and harder.
It's quite cool. It's quite nice to see that kind of style. That it's somebody's taken something other than slingshot firing something from Angry Birds, you know. Yeah. Because there are a lot of kind of features in there that could have been focused on individually.
It just looks so beautiful as well. It's just the artwork's just wow. Yeah. It's all I can say.
Well, TikTok Toys won the same award last year, so maybe StarCross will be in the same position.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's already out on the Windows Phone,
Yeah.
and I think it's out on Android as well.
If it's out on Android, I will.
Yeah,
definitely pick that
I'm
up.
probably looking at getting that.
Yeah.
What is it like? How much does it cost? Do you know? Or is
it costs. It's under £1.
Mhm.
Exact price, I'm not sure, but it's definitely under £1, so it's definitely worth picking up.
Yeah, that's cool. So, do you know?
I'm going to give a shout out to Kind of a Deal, and I apologise if I'm mispronouncing it.
Yeah, I think they're Finnish, aren't they?
Yeah, there's good Finnish.
So, congratulations to Timmy Solopusto, Ville Viitniemi, Mintu Merleinen, Petri Elistia, and Andrew McLean.
We had the nod of approval. They were apparently correct names. Whether or not they were heard correctly because you were mumbling is a different thing. No, that was good. That was good. So,
and Andrew's also from Abertay as well. He did Seaguard at coding essentially for the game, and he's from Abertay. So
did you know did he graduate that year, and then he did straight into Dare, or
graduated or whatever? Not entirely sure, but I was. When I was at Dare, he was the person I was speaking to, and he was telling me about the game, so it was really cool.
Again, it's just more to show just how far you can go here, like studying these courses.
Yeah,
so
it is pretty amazing.
And it's good motivation, you know. I think that with the success of these kind of games, like Dare will become a much more kind of enticing opportunity for people to like take up, because I think a lot of people kind of look at it and they go, this would be really, really good, but they don't realise it's quite how good. I think this is beginning to show them just what the opportunity is.
I think, like, you know, speaking of the BAFTAs,
it's especially the BAFTAs that that award solely for Dare. So
but like, speaking of the BAFTAs, like, obviously it's not just for the Want to Watch award that happens.
There's a lot more awards. We've got the I'll run through some of the winners. We've got the Game Innovation Award. The Unfinished Swan won that, which is a really good game.
Yeah, it was
a beautiful game.
A big surprise was actually Call of Duty was nominated for that award as well.
Sorry, what was that?
The Game Innovation.
Oh right, didn't they?
Because they changed a lot on the new Black Ops 2. Yeah.
Didn't they have a new gun in this time?
Yeah, I think that was new DLC as well. They had new zombie maps, I think.
Yeah, I totally forgot. About that.
It was an amazing new game. It was like playing a new game. It was like a whole new game.
Do you know who else was nominated? Was the Unfinished One the only innovative game that was nominated?
I think so. Yeah.
It was probably like Halo 4,
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final
Fantasy. The best game was Dishonored, which isn't that much surprise. Dishonored was a really good game.
Do you know who the other nominees of that?
I didn't have. I think just
Dishonored's
really strong game. I think the winners of the night though were Journey. There's a long list of long list of what they won. They won.
I think that myself and Max could devote an entire podcast to Journey.
We'll do that later.
They won Artistic Achievement, Audio Achievement, Online Multiplayer, game design and original music.
Yeah.
All in 2015.
I mean, it's not even just the BAFTAs that they've cleaned up. I mean, they're the first ever game to win a Grammy for entire soundtrack, not just single song.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Every single award ceremony they go to, they come away with at least one, if not more. There's very rarely they get nominated for an award that they don't win.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I love it.
Well, they were nominated for an award they didn't win in the BAFTA.
Oh, which award?
I can't remember.
Oh man! But, I said it's very rarely.
Hunt them down.
5 out of 6. 5 out of 6. Strong, amazing game. I love Juno Vachon and that game company, and I can't wait to see what they come out with on the PlayStation 4.
And obviously, the BAFTA Fellowship Award went to Gabe Newell, and it's Gabe. Sorry, Gabe.
Everybody loves Gabe.
Yeah, man.
Everyone loves Gabe. It's been a big week for Steam as well. They've announced their Steam Box, the console that they're developing for the living room TV. Prototypes are going to be shipped out in 3 to 4 months. They've stated that they're still not sure which controller they're going to use, and they're going to ship different controllers out to different people to test their reactions. What they have mentioned is that they're toying with the idea of installing a heart rate monitor on the controller to measure the player's heart rate during the games.
Just crazy cool.
Heart rate monitor.
And what they were saying was they're saying games like Left 4 Dead are a horror game, and it doesn't get scary anymore if the same things are happening over and over again. So for an input of the player's reaction to certain things, if they're scared of that thing, more of that, change it up. But if they're not getting as scared, they'll throw new stuff at them and scare them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, especially with Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead has a lot of that stuff in it already.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Amnesia.
To be honest, I like the idea. I think that it's a really, really cool idea and really different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do you think it's completely necessary? Should that kind of feature not already be sort of implemented in games? There shouldn't be that kind of repetition. I think that, to be honest, if you're playing a horror game and you're not scared, does that not say something about the game already?
Well, to be fair, all games have pacing and stuff, and horror games wouldn't be I say that, even Amnesia, there's parts where you go through and it's essentially a lull in the storm. You feel completely calm. Even while playing Amnesia, you're not absolutely scared out of your wits 100% of the time. There's kind of ups and downs to your fear.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole thing behind horror. It's when you feel the safest.
Yeah. Well, horror is primarily timing and pacing.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be an issue.
Well, to get that timing and pacing,
it's a good tool to help them.
But one thing is to get that timing and pacing, you need almost scripted events. I'm talking about Amnesia, but Amnesia switch that up with the kind of the monsters just kind of randomly roam around. They could pop up anywhere essentially, which is also another reason why it's a little bit more scary and a little bit more terrifying because you don't know for a fact. But
horrible.
In Left 4 Dead 2, to get that kind of pacing, a lot of it needs to be scripted, especially with that sense. So the heart rate monitor could switch up.
Yeah,
and it makes their people's game experience unique.
Yeah,
it's tuned to their reactions and not the generic pool of who's playing it.
But also,
Microsoft aren't worried about the Steam Box. I've got a quote from Microsoft's Don Matrick. They've stated that the scale of products and things that are being brought to the market are probably a little bit richer than when I look at Sony, Nintendo, Apple and Google. So essentially they're not worried about the Steam Box. They don't see it as that much of competition. But then obviously they sugarcoated it and saying, I love Gabe. I was there for his Lifetime Achievement Award. So it's wonderful to see what they're creating. So they see it as something new, but I don't think they're acknowledging it as...
It's the first hardware that Valve have produced. So
I think that they're definitely wrong to not see it as competition, but in the same way, it's going to be hard for Valve to compete on the market because the way the PlayStation 3 and the other consoles that are coming out, new consoles and stuff, they're going to be sold as cheap as possible. Whereas because the Steam Box is so much more powerful, it's essentially a mini PC.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to really sell that under. I mean, you've seen the Steam boxes made by other people, like the Nvidia, not the Nvidia one, the Razer one, the tablet. That's being sold for like £1,000 because they can't sell it any cheaper. If they sell it any cheaper, they're just going to be losing so much money. It's impossible to sell something that powerful, that small, for that cheap. And that's why the PlayStation is so massive. It's ridiculous.
Another thing that could hinder them as well is the system it's running on. They're running it on Linux.
But that's because Windows 8 is essentially useless.
Yeah, but
Windows 8 is pretty bad.
But I agree with Valve's move to it. I'm probably not going to buy a Steam box straight away.
It's something that
I need to stop buying consoles straight away.
We need to stop buying consoles.
But I'm really looking forward
to it. Definitely something interesting, and Microsoft's confidence means that they definitely have something
up their sleeves. Hopefully. Coming from an Xbox fanboy, I'm hoping it's good.
More new stuff with Steam. Yeah. The open system.
Oh yeah, the open system as well. News has came out that they're planning on moving the Steam to a more open system, so similar to the Android, the way Android runs their market. So it's user controlled ratings. So users say this game's the best game, play this game, this split game, which I think litters the marketplace. It would so much. I think I'm against. I'm against it. If they do go for it, the design's got to be right.
What about you? For or against?
Probably for.
I'm for, but it probably isn't going to be abused.
I mean, what I think is the fact that the problem with Steam is there's so many amazing games that are on Steam, and basically indie developers, it's almost a make or break sometimes. Yeah. But there's also so many amazing games that don't make it on Steam. You see, things trying to make it on Steam, but then the games that do get onto Steam sometimes, I mean, the War Z, that scandal was just ridiculous, right? So Steam isn't perfect, but if everything was on it, then it's obviously harder to find amazing content, but when the community riddles it out, so to speak, I think it'll be really strong. But what I was saying, I can't remember if it was all of you or just like Andrew or something.
I think me and you were speaking about it.
I was talking about how what you need is like Ouya, the way Ouya is being released is that all games must either have a free download or be free to download, right? So a free demo or be free to download. So Steam needs free demos, essentially, if they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think that if they're going to do this, I was saying that it would be really cool if they implemented like the StarCraft mod system. There's a fun or not button where you just click this button and it randomly picks a mod, puts you into the mod, and then at the end you give it a rating out of 5 stars, right? If they did that, where you just go, pick me a random game, it downloads the free demo, you play the free demo for half an hour, that was amazing, 5 stars, right? That would be strong. The only problem with that is, again, the fact that anyone can upload anything. Yes, there'll be policing, but there's always going to be malware and spyware and all this kind of stuff uploaded. So is it fun or not? Spyware.
Yeah.
So again, not the perfect idea. I want to see what happens with it, but I'm not amazingly optimistic. But I think if anyone can pull it off, it's probably going to be
the thing with it is that people play what they know they like. They don't go for games that are out there and they're not sure of. If they're given a choice between a game that's a shooter and they know they like shooters, they'll go for the shooters against a game that's totally different. And the thing with Steam is it limits the games that people know they like and gives them new titles, and that's how you hear these big titles coming out. And
well, the thing is, we should all just abandon Steam because Origin is pretty clearly the future.
That's leading on to
we're moving on
our next segue. A nice little link from Neil there to SimCity.
Yeah. So that was fun. That came
out, right? Did that
come out? I tried to play it.
Has anyone played it? Has anyone been able to play it?
I'm still in the
queue. Me and David almost bought it when it.
We almost bought it on release.
There was warnings. No. Everyone knew about what they were planning. Always online. DRM.
Doesn't be that bad.
They should have known how many people were going to play it.
Well, that's the thing. There was no way it wasn't going to end up like Diablo, essentially. Diablo, after a week, obviously Blizzard fixed it. Blizzard had the money to do that, right? EA do too, but
they don't want to spend that money.
You don't want to spend the money. But Blizzard, they load Diablo, and it was like, to stop piracy, we'll release this always online DRM. It means that your friends can join it. It's a lot more fun. Get the game on release. No one can log in, apart from the people who pirated it and aren't playing online.
Yeah.
That is wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was the same problem with SimCity, but the SimCity just had so many problems. But this is just in America. the UK servers launched fine.
The only reason they've got new servers for UK servers, so
the UK servers are their own servers, and quite frankly, I think the only reason that they launched just fine is because only one person bought it after what happened in America, because it was released 2-3 days after. And think about how fast things move on the internet.
It's just
I don't understand why they use that form of DRM. Like, why don't they just do the normal? We'll check your license before you go on.
I mean, it's still hard to my position is that if I was gonna there's some things that I could look at a game, right? I don't like pirate stuff. Obviously, I'd especially not things like games, because I want to go into that industry, and I know people do. But if a pirate looks at a game and SimCity, and he's like, I'm going to pirate that game. I'm going to see what's happening with that. Comes out, it's got an always online DRM. You can't pirate it. He's probably not going to go, damn, I'm going to rush out to the nearest retail store and buy it straight away. He probably just isn't going to play it. So it's not even like it's increasing their sales any. I mean, the problem is they're essentially just destroying their fan base. Their fan base want to play this, and
rather than increasing their sale, they're decreasing it. People are hearing these stories, and they're not going to go out and buy this. I was going to buy it.
I was going to buy it on release because I really like SimCity.
It's a real disappointment though, when other than the obvious financial thing, but when there's an actual advantage to pirating the game, as opposed to playing.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, if you wait a couple of weeks, no matter just like Diablo, if you wait a couple of weeks, the pirate will be out. It slows them down. It doesn't stop it. Well, maybe even a couple of hours, but tops a couple of weeks, and you just be able to download and play it offline, single player.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's not just bad. It's really disappointing when that happens. When it's like you're better off illegally playing the game.
Yeah,
and that shouldn't be it.
A lesson.
Yeah, because they've been doing it.
They've been doing it for.
They were saying that they're going to be putting microtransactions into stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what happened with Dead Space 3. It's what's going to happen eventually with SimCity. It's happened with Battlefield. It's probably going to happen with the next Battlefield.
There's Command and Conquer as well. They're planning on doing Command and Conquer.
All this kind of stuff.
Turned into a free-to-play now.
Yes. Where you've got to buy new content to progress in the game.
I know. It's not even like a free-to-play, because you're buying it for £60 or $60, whatever, and then you're paying to play.
Yeah, well, that's the whole kind of thing, isn't it? It's with EA. It's like £40 for the game, an extra $30 to be able to play.
I'd expect them to take out the resource collecting and just buy units with real life money.
yeah, just like Command and Conquer. You want to buy a tank? You want to build a tank? Well, that's £20.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There will always be people with too much money and not enough brain power that will actually do.
Well, the cow clicker games, that's what it's all about.
Right, so moving on to from a really bad game to a really good game, in my opinion.
It's a really good game. But what we must say is, our game of the week this week is Tomb Raider. It is very recently released. If you do not want to listen to this part, we're not going to have any spoilers of the story. We're going to be more looking at it critically, what it does well, what it doesn't do well. I've completed the game. Lee's about halfway through. Dave and Neil played it at Eurogamer, so we have a range of views. But if you don't want to listen to this part, skip forward. There'll be a link in the description with the different parts. We'll have the Scottish Games part. We'll have the bigger picture. We'll have the game of the week, and we'll have the discussion. Just skip forward. That'll be fine. That'll be implemented. And because I've said it on the podcast, you need to implement it.
Now I have to actually do it.
So,
well, I didn't do a little spoiler. Lara Croft is actually Nathan Drake in drag.
That's true. But no. So, moving on to Tomb Raider. Let's start first of all with you two playing at Eurogamer. Because well, at least Neil first, because I know what you're going to say. Well, I don't know, but you told me partly. So, Neil, go. Did you enjoy it? Not like
I thought it was really good. I really like Tomb Raider games. I've been playing them. I think I've played all of them since 3. And I thought it was really good. It's a nice change, but still keeping some of the key things about Tomb Raider. But yeah, we only played a tiny little bit. I think it's the first half an hour of the game we managed to play. But I really enjoyed it.
Things you didn't noticed or stuff. Even if it's just little things.
I think it was a long time ago.
That's a good point. It was like a year ago.
It was about 8 months.
8 months.
I don't remember anything bad. So I mean, that must be good.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. It's.
I came out. I remember.
It's unmemorable.
Yeah, I remember it being good. I don't remember anything being bad about it.
Yeah.
I think the only things I didn't like were probably, there's a couple of control issues and stuff that I probably just.
Well, again, all third-person games have a little bit of a camera problem.
Just a little bit of warning. Dave is going red with anger. So
rage and anger.
He's
rage.
rage.
I didn't like. I fixed it. That you had a bow, but you had like no quiver and arrows.
Oh yeah,
no,
that's
fixed. That's correct.
Pull arrows.
That would have just been a model problem, but. Dave,
I don't like it.
Red
I don't
rage.
like it. I don't like it.
Why?
It's not Tomb Raider.
David doesn't like
right, okay.
Why? Okay.
I am really like stuck in the past, as has probably come through from the podcast. I like the original idea, not in a hipster sense, but I grew up with that, and that's what I'm comfortable with.
So you like?
I'm comfortable with Tomb Raider being an adventure game.
You like the total Lara Croft badass? She's full on.
Right. I should also say that I have played every single Tomb Raider game and completed every single Tomb Raider game to date.
Okay.
And I love them all. I had an ex-girlfriend with an obsession with Tomb Raider, so I was forced to play most of the recent ones, even though they weren't that great. But still, they were adventure games.
Yeah.
That was the focus. Here it's survival game. It's
even then
it's a change.
Like they do force kind of push that thing where it's like at the start when you're taught about the kind of fact that you can hunt the animals, it's like, oh, I'm hungry, but you don't ever eat the food. You don't ever need to hunt animals.
I don't think I've ever hunted animals.
Oh, I do all the time.
I don't.
It's amazing. I just like to annoy Peter. We'll talk about that later.
I mean, I think that for me, I suppose it's the same as what I said about Dead Space 3.
Mm-hmm.
Be a really, really good game if it wasn't called Dead Space 3.
Yeah.
Like, I played Tomb Raider. There were some really, really nice like functions in it. Like the using the bow was really smooth, I thought. And I like that because usually using bows in games are really clunky and just look weird. But this was really quite smooth, quite nice to go into. The movement was different. I didn't like the movement. I thought that
different
like control,
Tomb Raider games, or just different to what you're
different.
using, yeah.
Well, not just different to other Tomb Raider games. I don't think it's any shock that everybody compares Tomb Raider and Uncharted because they go hand in hand.
Well, Uncharted was essentially the more polished Tomb Raider, and now the new Tomb Raider is the even more polished Uncharted.
Yeah, I mean, but like that, it still had that kind of feel, that kind of controlled feel of Tomb Raider. And I think that a lot of the depth and difficulty in Tomb Raider was how you moved about, and that was a kind of deliberate thing.
Well, yeah, that was just
that was the technology.
It was just they couldn't manage it.
Well,
I
think that, but with that, it was like the same reason that there's a delay when you use the whip in Castlevania. It's like it's supposed to be that there's.
I don't think it was intentional for the old Tomb Raider games, like for it to be ridiculously bad.
It was so bad it was good.
I definitely disagree with that. There's kind of
you learn how to sprint and dive or something.
But it's that kind of thing of, would you run and sprint and dive off of something without thinking about it first? Obviously not. So there is that there. And that kind of, to me, that was the kind of purpose of it. That's what I felt was the intention. But
like, I mean, you've played it. You're partway through.
Yeah, I'm partway through.
You like it.
I love it.
You've spoken about it a lot.
Yeah. I've not played every Tomb Raider game. I've played the really old ones on the PlayStation 1. Yeah. It's the whole reason I played that game.
Yeah.
I love it. I see it's not a classic Tomb Raider game, but it is the way I think they've had to implement the survival aspects for character development. The whole idea is it's the origin story of Lara, and now she's not this amazing adventurer. It's telling you the story of how she got to this amazing adventure.
Yeah.
And she is fighting for survival, so it does have to be a survival game.
Yeah.
It's relevant to the story. It's not just like
definitely.
I do feel like they've changed. Normally, whenever you see a new Tomb Raider game come up, they do a trailer and they always go, we've added so much new stuff. You can climb up walls now. You can jump off stuff.
It's like, what? You could do that before?
But it's the first Tomb Raider game I've seen in a long time where it's actually got a lot of new.
I mean,
I'd take a while to accept change.
First of all, I hope that Crystal Dynamics can keep making them. First of all, they are amazing. Like I bought it with high hopes, mostly because I really like the Uncharted games. I liked the previous Tomb Raider games, like the old ones, but also my brother had like Underworld and I think Anniversary. I'm not entirely sure, and I've played them. But like I preferred the kind of Tomb Raider style of game because it was more heavy on puzzling, right, and the kind of adventure aspect, and then the shooting was there, right, whereas Uncharted was more there's a lot of shooting, there's a little bit of puzzle and adventure. But it was a more polished title.
Yeah.
So when the new Tomb Raider came along and was announced, I was like, I can't wait for this, because there's going to be strong puzzling, there's going to be some good shooting, and there's going to be the adventure style as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the adventure's there, the shooting's there, and the puzzling's there. My main problem with it is the fact that, basically in the game, it's a bit like the Arkham games, where you're moving through the game, it's a bit free roamy, bit linear, all this kind of stuff. And then if you want to do some extra stuff, there's like Riddler trophies, and you can go and do a little puzzle for a Riddler trophy. Tomb Raider does that in the Hidden Tombs. So you're running along, off the beaten track, there's a tomb, and you can go in there, and there's no bad guys, it's just a puzzle. Amazing, right? Went in, do the puzzle, you get rewards and all this kind of stuff. There aren't enough tombs.
Right, okay.
I think...
So it's Tomb Raider without tombs?
She doesn't like tombs.
The story has tombs, the story has puzzles, right? But... this isn't the exact number, I can't remember, but there's say there's 3 puzzles to the whole story, right? There's obviously more, but there's 3 puzzles
I'm up
to the whole
to
story,
3 now.
right? No, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about tombs. I'm talking about just puzzles in the linear story.
In the linear story.
And then say there's again 3 tombs, right? Each of them being specifically puzzles.
Yeah.
Then that's 6 puzzles overall, right? Which is kind of gearing more towards the Uncharted side, where there's puzzling. There's good puzzle aspects, but we don't use them enough.
Yeah.
Right. So I hope, again, what makes sense there is the story, the fact that she doesn't really like tombs, she doesn't want to go into these places. The only reason I could see myself going in there in terms of the story, to make sense in my head, not break my immersion, is the fact that maybe she thinks this is the way to go. It is a free roaming island. But I did enjoy, doing the tombs. There just wasn't enough. So I think that if Crystal Dynamics do make it, right, and there's say a trilogy of them or whatever, in the same style with the same kind of more realistic, more visceral kind of game, I just want more tombs, I want more puzzles. But apart from that, I loved it, everything about it.
It's the little things that make it really good.
Without spoilers, is there the normal Tomb Raider supernatural stuff?
Yes.
So is it big
the point is that at the start, Lara is very logical. She doesn't believe in these supernatural things, but one of her friends does. She's always like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. And Lara's like, no.
Killed with something.
But by the end, that's the reason she becomes a Tomb Raider, because she's just like, oh my god, I need to find out more about these crazy things. I need to find out more if myths are true. Essentially, that's what she's looking at. And that, the story arc is strong. The game is produced really well, and it's just beautiful.
Is it better than Angel of Darkness? Anyone actually played?
Yes, I played Angel of Darkness.
As long as it's better than Angel of Darkness, it's good.
We're going to have to move on anyway, because the discussion topic this week is...
well, with the recent thing with PETA and Ubisoft, it's really coming into question whether or not games, the overall design of games, should be in any way controlled by a third party. So
we've got I've got the quotes here. More quotes.
Yeah.
I love quotes.
So
Delete
essentially, PETA, after the trailer for Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out, PETA came. I dropped my pen. PETA came back with whaling. That is, shooting whales with harpoons and leaving them to struggle for an hour or more before they die or are hacked apart while they're still alive may seem like something for the history books. But this bloody industry still goes on today. It's in the quote, in the face of international condemnation. I can't even read my own handwriting, and it's disgraceful for any game to glorify it. PETA encourages video game companies that create games that celebrate animals, not games that promote hurting and killing them. Ubisoft then came back with essentially saying that, well, I say essentially, this is the quote: "History is our playground at Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is a work of fiction that depicts the real events during the golden era of pirates. We do not condone illegal whaling, just as we don't condone pirate lifestyle of poor hygiene, plundering, hijacking ships, and the over the legal limit drunken debauchery." So, quite frankly, from that quote, as I've said before, as I said to the guys, I don't think, just the end, why would... over the legal limit, drunken debauchery. It just seems like Ubisoft just didn't care that PETA were offended. Ubisoft.
Yeah, I mean, PETA are always offended. You can't do anything.
Tell us about something about the name. Why is it PETA?
People...
Americans told PETA.
What?
You know,
what's going on?
It's
a different pronunciation.
No, you know pita bread.
Yeah.
Americans spell pizza, and it's spelled P-I-T-A, but they also pronounce pita as in a group when it's spelled P-E-T-A. Americans, what?
I don't think
Stop
that's
it.
really the point.
Yeah, that's not the
This
point.
is a key
It's
point.
animal cruelty here.
Right.
The thing with
They always have something to complain about.
Yeah, well, the thing
They
is,
never played a Pokemon
everyone,
game.
you can't make a game.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of where they went over the line. They actually showed something offensive in opposition to what
exactly.
games were doing.
my
PETA
problem.
are more offensive than the things that they're claiming to be offended by.
It's not even like Pokemon. It's not even like Pokemon are like Pokemon is actually a poaching game where you're going out and catching rhinos and making them fight each other. Like that is not what the game is.
Ride on battling.
But I'm not saying, but that's still not real. You can't go out and catch a rhino made of stone.
With a little plastic ball. I think there would be a little bit more of a reaction.
Yeah, I think it might be killed by the
But either way, like they've crossed the line as well. But the problem is, I mean, the thing is with this, they're saying like, oh, whaling, oh, you can't protect that, like have that in games. That should be left to the history books. Go and boycott Moby Dick. Don't shout at Ubisoft for making a game that has that element in it. Like, it's not even like the game is based completely around whaling. They wanted to make a whole experience. The game's free roam. It has a lot to do. Whaling is something that's part of that era. It's something that happened. Yes, it still happens now, but it's illegal now. It wasn't. Well, it was illegal then, but the pirates didn't care. Like it
wasn't legal then.
Was it legal then? Okay, well, it was legal then. I just don't see how they can even be offended by this.
My problem with the whole PETA thing is it seems like they've not played the whole game. They don't know the whole picture.
Well, they haven't played the whole game because it's not.
Yeah, but going back to Pokemon and stuff like that. Pokemon, you've all watched the TV series. Pokemon is you befriend your Pokemon. You take care of them. You love them essentially.
Yeah. And you kill Gary's Pokemon.
Yeah. Right. So the message in Pokemon isn't fighting, isn't battling.
Yeah.
It's friendship. So surely.
Apart from that one episode that they're banned with the gun.
Yeah, apart from that one episode. But we never saw that episode because it was banned here.
And
the really weird one with the
but
Jesse gets boobs.
Whoa!
Whoa!
This is the discussion.
Right.
Come on now.
This should be the
This should be the discussion.
Surely PETA should be emphasising that being friends with animals, being friends. Everyone loves animals.
Yeah. I mean,
and you don't know the context of the whale.
Yeah, they only want to hug the whale. That's why they need to harpoon it.
But Ubisoft story, you could be. I mean, I don't know what the storyline of Black Flag is going to be, but they could be emphasising that it's wrong. You could be going out hunting.
Stopping Ahab.
Not even that. You could be going hunting these whales, and then you become part of the assassins, and they condone it, and you stop hunting the whales. You've got to show a big to show the real feelings of it. You've got to show the big picture.
Not all whales are innocent. Dolphins are whales, and everyone knows that
dolphins are the only other animal on the earth that performs the act of genocide. They hate porpoises.
Dolphins are literally rape machines.
Yeah, so
we
should probably move away from that as well.
Yeah, right. Basically, in the whole kind of topic, what's brought to light is the ethics of what games teach us. And the point about that is that I think, well, actually, Penn and Teller did a show on video games and violence in video games, right? And everybody should go look at it. It's brilliant. But no, I'm not.
Can we link that in the description? Is that
we'll
link that in the description.
So basically, what they said was that children have to learn to distinguish fantasy from reality at a very young age, and so this is all irrelevant because they know the difference. And if you're trying to claim that they're learning this, there's no difference between fantasy and reality, then everything from bedtime stories to works of art are unethical because it's fantasy. How can you tell it's not reality? How can you tell that this story of Little Red Riding Hood wasn't about an actual wolf eating a little girl?
And I mean,
and
like it wasn't a woman who was trying to eat children in the woods. And
basically, it's like if you're arguing against video games teaching different things, then you should also be arguing that Little Red Riding Hood is unethical.
The only reason that again, we'll get back to the point after this when I make this, the only reason they're arguing against games is because they've already lost the argument against books, they've already lost the argument against films. Yeah. So now a new mediums came out and they're like, we'll try it with games, might as well. Nothing else to do, because so many lawyers would be out of a job if they weren't prosecuting someone for violence and causing this kind of violence. But I mean, the topic is should game design be controlled by kind of third parties? Really, I think it's almost universal. It isn't much of a discussion topic. We just kind of wanted to bring it to light. But no, really. I mean, they could have small amounts of control, but the problem is you're never going to make something that doesn't offend at least one person.
Yeah, or group.
But in the same way, you shouldn't police things that offend someone. Peter make this accusation, right? But the problem with if people get complaints or anything, if someone offends someone on a TV show, right? Top Gear is a prime example of it. Jeremy Clarkson's always offending someone, right? Yep. And they get 10,000 letters, right? Because these 10,000 people got offended, right? See, that means that the rest of Britain who watched it, right, and the ratings of Top Gear are high.
Yep.
Were not offended, right? So that means 10,000 people out of say 6 million were offended. That is a tiny amount, right? PETA, one organisation that's actually come forward and said something. If everyone in the world always had to give feedback on everything they heard, whether they were for or against it, offence and people taking offence would be completely irrelevant, because the small things that offend the small amount of people don't offend the masses, because people don't care.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff. I mean, it's a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, whaling is I mean, I wouldn't actually go out whaling because it'd be cold. I wouldn't actually go and do that, but I mean, in a game, I'm on a pirate ship, I'm up on the rigging, I'm like, whale ho, throwing harpoons. That sounds awesome. That actually sounds awesome. I mean, I would go whaling if you could whale in Wind Waker. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
So I mean, I don't see why they Ubisoft even feel the need to defend themselves.
Well, Ubisoft kind of
they
flippantly replied. They just kind of shrugged it off and just went, okay, more complaints. But it is that kind of majority versus minority thing, and if the minority's offended, then there's no kind of follow from it. So I don't think that people should focus on whether or not they're offended by it, because it's irrelevant anyway. Regardless if it's a large group or a small group, I don't think offence really comes into it, because I think people have to remember that making games is an expressive thing. I don't see it as being, personally, or I think that most developers would see this, it's no different from painting or writing a piece of music. You're trying to convey a feeling or a message.
There are some aspects of it's called game design. There are definite aspects that are almost engineering. Yeah. But it's an expressive form. An experience. You're expressing yourself.
If that offends somebody, then that doesn't change your message,
Yeah.
Because your message doesn't change because it offends somebody. Your message is there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, this is quoting
that guy who wrote the book Denying the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Expressing himself.
To be honest, there's always going to be the extremes.
Are allowed to express
but I was going to say the point is that you'll get idiots who will say really stupid things, but I'd 100% for the rest of my life defend their right to say it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think that it's any different in games.
Quite frankly, I'm not gonna this guy, if he writing a book denying the Holocaust, I'm just not gonna read it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be offended by it. I'm just not gonna read it.
It's always that kind of point. If you're offended by it, don't go and look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just change the channel on Top Gear.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's I don't like falling off cliffs.
Yeah.
So I don't fall off cliffs.
Yeah.
I have the option to fall off a cliff if I so wish.
I mean, quite frankly,
I'm not gonna.
If I if things that actually offended me, if I could get them taken off shelves, One Direction wouldn't be a band. They, as far as I'm concerned, they offend me.
They don't offend everyone.
I'm not going to go and cry. I'm not going to go and cry to HMV and tell them to take their half the metal section would be gone if people go and tell HMV that they were offended. Yeah. I don't see.
I think. I mean, the games aren't seen as a serious media. Yet.
But that's because they're so young.
Yeah, the point is, for games to be seen as a serious media, they've got to be pushing these boundaries. They've got to be doing stuff that movies do, that books do. They've got to be...
It's not so much third parties, because I think it was actually Ubisoft that said the writer couldn't do it. But the writer of Tomb Raider said he wanted the game to be darker and grittier.
Yes.
And I think, well, I don't know whether or not he said it outright, but he definitely inferred that he almost was looking for a rape scene within the game.
Yep.
Because of the way, like, you know, Lara, the way she transforms, the way you see her in the start of the game, like, compared to the other games, which are the sequels to it, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, she is vulnerable and, like, you know, a lot younger. She doesn't know how to survive and stuff. And they need a big thing, something dramatic, to change her from that to essentially what we see, which is, like, she is incredibly confident in like, you know, the games, the actual Tomb Raider game. Mm-hmm. She's, like, you know, incredibly strong. She's also, like, you know, a man-eater in senses. Like, she's just, you know, there's all these guys with guns running at her, and she's just like, take cover, bam, everyone's dead. Like, and the game does do that. She slowly gains more confidence, but there's nothing dramatically changing. Whereas in films, writer wants a rape scene, bam, it's in.
It's
books,
the
boom,
kind of thing. It's like
done.
Girl with a dragon tattoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Idea. That was really right. Originally, that wasn't even released here. Like, it wasn't a British or Western-made film.
It was
and like, it got such a big following over here, and people started commenting. They were like, "Oh, but there's all this horrible mistreatment of women and stuff," and people were like, "It's there. It's emphasizing how bad this is."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's never going to be a rape scene in a film that promotes rape. It's like,
have you ever seen Clockwork Orange?
Well,
let's not reference the Clockwork. But like, don't watch the Clockwork Orange.
What I'm basically meaning is that there's never going to be this kind of horrible act within media that promotes doing the horrible act.
Yeah.
Well, no, there is though.
Grand Theft Auto.
And there's there are lots of books and films and things that try and make a convincing argument for doing
that. Yeah, no, there are lots of things, but again, they're pushing the boundaries, right? But apparently, right now at least, games aren't allowed to do that.
Yeah. The point is, it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to. It's not fun to watch a rape scene. It's not fun to go whaling. It's not. Nothing. None of this is fun.
The whole point of games is that you doing it kind of like, you have more control over what's happening in the game. So it's kind of like, does it come down to the person who's playing?
But again, until there's literally VR where what I'm touching with my hands is actually like I'm never even going to remotely think that it's real. Like, I'm using a controller to have an input. Like, it's not.
You always know the difference between fantasy and reality. The youngest children know the difference between fantasy and reality, and like, I don't think that because of that separation, I don't think there should ever be an issue with what happens in a game so much. Like, I get that there are limits, but that's why there are age ratings.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna have a shocking scene, bump up the age rating in the game so that only mature people who would understand the message behind that scene.
Exactly.
And if the kids play it, it's not the kids' fault. It's not the game developers' fault to play it because they're playing it.
It's like Peter, I must argue, is basically like for the games section is a lot of mothers who are claiming that their children are being taught. Why buy your child an 18 game?
I read this thing. I'm not going to say where, and you all know where I read it because it was on. Well, and like it was this, and this guy said that he works in game, right? And when the new when Black Ops 2 was released, every single mother that came, like after school came out, right? There was just tons of mothers coming in with their children buying Black Ops 2. Every single one that came up to him, he explained to them that it was an 18, that there were violence in it, that it was this, that it was that. Yes, it's not the retailers. It shouldn't be the retailers' necessity to explain it to the mothers. But if a kid is kicking and screaming, saying, "Oh, I want Call of Duty, I want Call of Duty, I want Call of Duty," then the mother's just going to buy it to shut them up. I mean, my mum and dad didn't buy, like, eventually when my brother, I mean, I was 15, my brother was 18, and he could then buy Grand Theft Auto and stuff. But my mum refused to buy me Grand Theft Auto when we weren't 18 and stuff. Like, she knew what it was like. Whereas these mothers are just charging in, "Oh, get you off my back, here's Black Ops." This guy was just like, seriously, he did it for the wrong reasons. He just wanted to see the kids kicking and screaming, right? But it's still, the point is there that I think it shouldn't be the retailer's responsibility, but when mothers come in and they're just like, "Oh yeah, I'm buying this, then you should explicitly say, like, if in terms of Modern Warfare 2, that there is this scene where you get to gun down innocent people, that it's an 18. I know you're buying it for your child. He's standing right there. He gave you the game.
Yeah.
I can sell it to you, but don't come complaining to me, or don't complain to the developer.
I was going to say, the only responsibility of young kids being exposed to this, the responsibility lies solely on the person who purchased the game.
Exactly.
It's like, you don't see mothers going out and buying 50 Shades of Grey for their daughter to read. So they shouldn't be going out buying an 18 game for a 5-year-old to play.
I'm not going to lie, I have heard of mothers going out and buying 50 Shades of Grey for their children.
That sounds awful.
But
either way,
I think that it is definitely kind of, third parties have no place in the development.
In Britain, it's...
No, continue. Just last point.
In Britain, the rating system in games is done by the same group that do the film rating stuff. But in America, it's a self-regulation thing. So if the gaming community if the developing community decides that it's too far, they'll restrict from being released. So it's self-controlled.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine. I just think that a lot of time when it's outside influence.
Well, I think it should be rated in the same way that films are rated, because then it's something that the parents are more likely to understand.
Yeah.
Either way. I mean, I think that was fairly good, kind of universal. I know from us, but it was kind of an interesting discussion. That's the end of it. That's the end of the podcast. We won't be back next week. We'll have content released on the website and possibly another interview with a game company. So there will be stuff going up. So check it out. But it'll be the what Saturday will it be? If this is the 9th, it'll be the,
I can't count.
16th, the 2 weeks time.
22nd, 23rd. That'll be the next podcast. So 2 weeks time. So tune into that. But that podcast will be our last one of the semester. This is the penultimate one. There'll be a week break, and then we'll have the last one going up. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. We'll and keep up with the website and stuff. We'll link all that stuff in the description. Twitter will be in the description. YouTube will already be on it. The website will be in the description.
New blogger as well, who's going to be releasing content over the
next couple of weeks. We've got a new blogger, so there'll be content from the four of us, Andrew, and our new blogger Greg. So tune in next time for more podcast goodness.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.